This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, except no imitations. And Matt, there are reports out there that the Steelers are in the process of, they're going to sign wide receiver Robert Woods.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, big brother veteran in the room, probably good for George, and some other young guys. He's been around the block. He's always been a very accomplished inside-out blocker, etc. Now, I don't think he's got a lot in the tank. I don't think he's super explosive at this point, but he's had a good career. Did some homework on him since the news last night, and he has a tough time getting off man coverage, because of the quickness and the physicality of it all, but he still has a real good feel for zone. He's a really good blocker. Kind of has an Allen Robinson feel to it, and good and bad. That's they're not making him the feature receiver,
right? That's the thing here. I mean, if he's your, a depth piece.
I don't know if he makes team. I mean, he could be the fifth guy. I don't know.
He played 400 snaps last year for the Texans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's okay. Right. I thought a sixth guy was not needed, but would have been welcome.
Yeah. So, you bring in that guy. As you mentioned, he's played both slot and outside. Mm-hmm. I think he's probably better suited at this point in his career to play more inside. But he can,
I agree.
He can bump outside and. You just see different cornerbacks or defensive backs inside from what you see outside. Mm-hmm. Outside, you see the Joey Porter Jr.'s.
Right.
Inside, you see the Beanie Bishop.
Right. Which I think is to my point about the man coverage. I think he's better either reduced or moving in motion or out of the slot. But he can line up on the line of scrimmage and be effective. I mean, he's not super explosive, but you get some good snaps out of him.
Yeah, to your point about his what he does against zone coverages, if you look at it.
I didn't look at the numbers. I just watched some tape.
The stuff over the middle for him,
okay.
He is an over-the-middle receiver now at this point in his
career.
career.
Absolutely see that. Kind of a Cooper Kupp light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of guy, yeah. Physical.
Of his, what do you have last year? Minor right year. That's back in 2022. If last season, he had 20 catches last season. Wasn't a great year.
No, right. I mean, he's on the back nine, obviously.
But all but 17 of them came between the numbers.
Really? That heavy, okay.
That heavy.
Okay.
If you look back at 2023, it's even more so the case. He had 6, 22, 25 of his catches. I think he had 30 or 40 maybe. 25 of his 40 catches came between the numbers.
Really? Okay.
I mean, he has been a between the numbers, short and intermediate.
That definitely adds up of what I was watching and his reputation and all those things. Yeah. I didn't realize it was that heavy. So it brings me, everyone's out there like, well, he'll never catch a ball out in between the numbers here. They don't ever throw between the numbers. Folks, that was a quarterback thing. That's not an Arthur Smith thing.
I mean, it's also the given the receivers that you have to work with.
Right.
It's just it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you have guys that are capable of going over the middle and catching the football, then you'll see more of that. If you don't, if it's just your tight ends, well, it just changes things a little bit.
No, but assuming Rodgers is a quarterback, or even if it's Rudolph. Or
here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing about Rodgers.
Yeah.
The people who think that he is not signing or not going to play football this year. If you're 41 years old and you're going to retire, you don't go out and throw catch with DK Metcalf.
Or visit here.
If I'm done, I'm done. Are there any videos out there, for example, of Tom Brady or Peyton Manning out there tossing the ball around with receivers?
I don't think Ben does it anymore.
No.
Yeah, right.
They're done.
That ship has sailed. You're on a beach with a beer and having fun. Right.
It probably, in the off season, your body hurts throwing the football when you've thrown the football.
You wouldn't just do it
a
for
million
fun.
times in your lifetime.
Right.
you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that anymore.
Right. That ship has sailed. I mean, I can't believe he's not going to play football.
I would find it very hard to believe that he is not going to play football. You don't just and given the choice of who he worked out with,
right?
Like, come on, people.
It's a pretty good indicator here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's going to happen.
Showing his cards.
Yeah. And
I don't know what personal stuff's going on in his life or whatever, but I think the Steelers do.
I would think so. And,
yeah.
And again,
but I would expect more middle of the field passing.
Yeah, more middle of the field passing, which is why you go get another middle of the field target.
Mm-hmm.
They've got rookie minicamp May 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's the next thing that they have. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next week. After that,
Cam Hayward's not going to be at that. I mean,
it's rookie minicamp.
Right,
yeah.
No, Rodgers doesn't need to be there, and the veterans aren't going to be there.
They don't start their OTAs until May 21st.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff with the coaches on the field. That's
the next football thing.
That's the next real football thing.
There'll be a player or two in the building here and there, but the next time they're in the building is almost a month from now.
Yeah.
That's the next time that they do football stuff as a team.
So he can take your time.
Yeah.
Make
not
that,
going anywhere.
Whatever you got to do, get it done with. Because, again, as I've said consistently all along, once you're in, you're in.
Yeah. Once you sign, we're not doing this anymore. No Egypt trips, no dark retreats or whatever it is you do. And I'm sure there's people like, well, shouldn't he be learning the playbook? I think he can figure out an NFL offense at this point, and he may even have it. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I'm sure they could ship it to him, right?
Yeah.
Or email it to him, whatever,
So you get another middle of the field weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Now I look at the offense, and it's kind of complete.
Yeah, I would definitely keep an eye out for
another offensive lineman, but they have enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, is it enough quality? That's the only question.
Right. I think we obviously know who the 5 starters are, and they're going to be unchallenged, for those jobs. If a depth piece were to arise, I would be real interested. But there's not enough room for another receiver. Even if Cordarrelle Patterson gets released, I don't think you're even in the market for another back of note. Maybe a tight end. I mean, they keep 4.
They got 5 of them.
They got 5
6,
of them.
Or 7 with the undrafted rookies. They got
Right.
Tight ends out the wazoo.
Yeah. I'm just reaching here, but I think you're done at quarterback. Well, not quite, but I think we covered that. Yeah, I keep thinking it's a done deal, but I think we handled that situation or brought it up from time to time. But I don't think you're after another receiver.
No, and it's interesting. For example, the Browns on yesterday signed Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. Despite the headaches and being with a lot of different teams, and
a couple of teams put tender offers, restricted tender offers out on guys who are still free agents, which is a little different rule that
that went over my head. Can you explain?
It hadn't been done since 2022. The Chiefs did it with a couple of guys.
Okay.
So the Browns did it with the receiver, the little slut.
Elijah Moore?
Yeah.
Okay, so he is an unrestricted free agent.
He's an unrestricted
correct?
free agent, but they tendered him an offer, which means that now if somebody signs him, it counts against the comp formula for them. You don't get a pick back, but you get the opportunity to match.
Okay. Can you do that with anyone?
Apparently, because of all teams, the Chargers also did it with J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. So, hypothetical, Steelers signed J.K. Dobbins or Elijah Moore.
It would count against their comp formula.
It would count against the Steelers?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe it was only the original team.
No. But
so does that make them the
those guys
favorite?
in? If they're going to play football, they're only going to make like $3.4 million.
Okay. So they have a contract. If Dallas signs them, if whoever signs them, it has to be for that deal?
No, they have the opportunity to match the deal. It's a restricted free agent situation. Okay. But again,
why would the player sign it?
If you go over that, then the team gets perhaps compensation back.
Okay.
Post-draft.
Well, why would Dobbins or Moore sign that?
If they're going to play football this year, if nobody else makes them an offer, they get a standing offer from those teams.
Oh, okay. So they can be a Charger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still they're not just okay. I think I understand.
They're not floating in limbo. They have an offer on the table here. This is okay. Free agency, the draft is over, but here's an offer for you. You can come back and sign here. This is the offer, and now.
Okay. Do you know if that's weird to me? If the Chargers,
it's a new thing. I hadn't really heard of it.
I hadn't either.
I had to research it this morning a little bit.
So if the Chargers or Browns have a 1-year, $5 million deal in place with these guys, and someone comes along and offers him 1 year, $4 million.
It's not even that. It's $3.4 million. It's the low tender offer.
It's a standard thing. Okay,
Yeah.
It's not like we're negotiating. It's just
there's no negotiation. This is the
gotcha.
restricted free agent.
Okay.
Even though you weren't truly a restricted free agent, here's the money.
Okay.
This is what it is.
So I guess there is some security as a player. Like, I'm going to get paid this year. I'm going to make something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess you still have to make the team. I mean,
if you're the Chargers, why would you do that with Dobbins?
That just happened?
Yeah.
I mean, post-draft?
Yeah.
And post-Deontay signing?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're good football players. Like, I'm kind of shocked both are free agent or still out there, but I guess they're trying to work the comp game. They're pretty confident someone's going to grab them.
I guess. I mean, I guess that's the feeling. But what happens?
It's really weird to me.
What if Dobbins decides, okay, I'm going to go back to L.A.?
Yeah.
Now you've got Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, and Amari Hampton.
I would say, right.
I mean, it's a wealth of riches. Maybe you trade one of them, but
yeah. I mean, it's not the worst problem to have. It's not super expensive. It's not $30 million.
Two of them are on 1 year deals.
Yeah. And you just draft one in the first round. I don't know. I got to let that soak in. That's hurting my brain a little bit. I never heard of such a thing.
It was a new thing. I didn't remember the Chiefs doing it in 2022. They apparently did it with a couple of their free agents. But
okay. Are they the only two that you know of?
Those are the only two thus far that I've heard about.
Does it have to be post-draft that you do it?
I believe so, yeah.
Because otherwise the comp pick still would be in
because they weren't restricted free agents. They were
right. They're treating them
agents.
like restricted free agents, even though they're not. Okay. That's boggling my mind at the moment. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but I think it has to be after the draft ends because now nobody's signing. You're just protecting yourself in the comp game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also saying
you at least get something back.
The player's gonna.
I might be stuck with them or happy to have them. Who knows what the feeling would be? So I assume that would make it slightly more unlikely that the Steelers or anyone else would sign those two players,
right?
Because it hurts your comp game when maybe you would have post-draft if it didn't.
Right.
Okay. Still very strange.
But Deontay Johnson to the Browns, so now all he has to do is go play for the Bengals.
Make it complete, right?
Yeah, he'll have completed the circle.
And he might. He doesn't seem to stick places very long.
Yeah. But the circle of life in the AFC North. He's on the
Ogunjobi's on that.
He's on the Ogunjobi train.
Right. 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Strange one, but yeah, so they got a bunch of quarterbacks.
Oh, and by the way, I don't think the Steelers considered
they did not.
It wasn't Deontay or Woods.
It was not.
I can promise you that.
It was not. It is interesting, though, that it wasn't one of the other guys. I mean, there's some other veteran receivers out there right
I've thrown Keenan Allen's name out there. He's a little more high profile that might want more or
he's
maybe
strictly a slot.
Level. He's strictly a slot.
He had a bunch of drops last year, too.
He's sluggish. Yeah. I don't know that he's the blocker Woods is either. I studied probably not.
And, Amari Cooper's still sitting out there.
That one's a little strange to me, too. I mean, a guy like Allen and Cooper might think they
might want more money.
Power. Yeah. Or
I'm going to wait for an injury.
Camp or right.
Yeah. So we'll see. But apparently the Steelers are going to, it's out there, that they're going to sign Robert Woods, the wide receiver. He's been with several teams. Bills drafted him, second-round pick out of USC. Then he went to L.A.
Was the Rams the next stop?
Yeah, helped them to win it.
That was probably when he was at his best.
Yeah, got them to a Super Bowl, or helped get them to a Super Bowl. And I think he had 88, 90, and 90 catches.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was in every fantasy league. And that. I mean, he was a quality number 2 on his best day. Yeah.
Spent a season with Tennessee after Arthur Smith. But at least you've run some of the tenets of Arthur Smith's offense before. And then the last 2 seasons with Houston. Right.
And then Houston drafts both Iowa State guys and didn't have room for them or weren't going to bring them back.
Yeah. So
okay.
Interesting signing, and we'll see. We
don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure they're not extravagant.
It's not. I think I saw somewhere 1 year, $2 million.
I was guessing something like that. Yeah. Right? If he doesn't even make the team, he doesn't make the team. Right.
Okay. So, not a bad signing, and it certainly improves your depth at that wide receiver position. We went over the depth chart yesterday, and that was one spot that you looked at and you go, okay, right now Scotty Miller is your 6.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a kind of a better version of Van Jefferson with some more experience and leadership and things like that. He's got a really good reputation, like off the field.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And welcome back to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, we woke this morning to news that George Kittle is now the highest paid tight end in the NFL. 4 years, $76.4 million. I think that's like $0.4 million more than what Trey McBride
Is it?
got.
Okay.
Something along those lines. So he is now the highest paid guy in that market. And you start to look at people went crazy in Pittsburgh when the Steelers signed Pat Freiermuth to a 4-year, $48.4 million deal. Like, I get it. Kittle's good. McBride, these guys are good football players.
Yeah.
But now you're paying tight ends $19 million a year.
I know. So I still think it's the best deal in town. I mean, I understand tight end's not the most important position on the field. But if you're making $20 million, he's a lot better than the $20 million wide receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a bargain rate to pay tight ends if you hit on them. Keep your own. I mean, the franchise tag isn't bad on them. The fifth-year option isn't bad on them, I don't think. The place to pay stars isn't like the other positions. You know, I think Kittle's extremely valuable. Had a conversation about it earlier. I think he's one of the most underrated players, not just necessarily in the league now, but really of all time. I think he's like a top 5 tight end that's ever played that happens to play in the Kelsey era, so his numbers look a little less. But he's a different type of guy than them.
I don't know if he's top 5 all time. That might be stretching.
I think he's a first ballot Hall of
bit.
Famer. It might be. I mean, I think he's in the Gates neighborhood or above like a Witten. I mean, I'd have Gonzalez ahead of him, Kelsey and Gronk.
Here's the
I
thing.
think Gronk's the best ever.
He's already 32 years old.
Yeah.
He came out a little bit older. He's not going to be among the top.
Oh, his numbers
all-time.
won't be the same.
Yeah.
Those guys, right? And Shanahan doesn't throw the ball that much. I mean, he's not, but his value to the team is immense.
I agree with that. I just don't know that I can say he's a top 5 tight end all time.
That might be a little strong, but I think he's never thought of in that light where Kelsey is.
I'm sure, because Kelsey has the numbers.
Because he has the numbers and he has more rings. But I think they've had comparable careers. Their resumes don't look the same.
I mean, he's more Heath Miller than he is a good all-around tight end. Now, he's better. I think he's better than Heath was. But I think that's, the kind of player that, the combo tight end, and they just don't.
I think he's closer to Gronk than Kelsey.
They don't get you
Gronk,
don't get you the accolades.
No, right. It's he does a lot of thankless stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, for
they
sure.
They block. They actually are what tight ends were supposed to be. They block.
Yeah, and he drives people down the field, and he's good after the catch, and he's explosive and tough, and I'm a big fan, obviously.
So if you look at Freiermuth's average salary right now, so you've got Kittle and Trey McBride both making over $19 million. Yeah. Travis Kelce's at 17.125 average. This is their
year
average.
Or so, probably, right.
Hawkinson's 16.5. Dallas Goedert is 14.25. Mark Andrews is $14 million. Then you got David Njoku at 13.68. Cole Kmet at 12.5, and then you got Freiermuth at 12.1.
No problem at all with Freiermuth's number.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather have him than Kmet for sure off that list.
You look at some of the guys
they just took a first-round tight end, by the way.
Right behind him, Dalton Schultz at $12 million.
Okay.
Evan Ingram at 11.5.
That's his new deal, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, 1 year probably.
Noah Fant is 10.5.
Okay, I mean
Juwan Johnson is 10.25.
Wow.
The Saints are nuts.
Because the Saints are nuts. Yeah.
They're also paying Taysom Hill $10 million. He figures in on the.
I forgot they didn't cut him. I thought he was like the easiest cut ever.
Those are your tight ends that are making $10 million or more. That doesn't count all the young guys that have come into the league in recent years.
Oh, sure, right. Rookie deals, right.
So when people complain, I can't believe you're paying Freiermuth that much money.
He can.
That's the going rate, and he's better than the guys
way better than the guys less than him.
Yeah,
and he's right in the neighborhood of the guys making right in his neck of the woods. I think him and Njoku are pretty comparable players. I would definitely have him over Kmet, who, again, the Bears took a tight end in the first round. That's not a huge ring endorsement that Kmet's going to be a big part of the mix.
I mean, the Browns took another tight end in the third round.
In the third round, right. I hate their draft. But anyway.
And he's not a blocker. He does exactly what Njoku does.
They're both just...
At least when you took Darnell Washington, he does something different.
So different. Right. I mean, totally different.
They don't even look like play the same position.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it goes back to the same stuff. I mean, like, we're going to have this conversation with Watt, too. It's not your money, first of all. And, boy, $10 million a year sounds crazy. $11 million a year sounds so much. Not when you look at the wide receivers that are making that money or, the other positions out there.
If you compared that to what guys are making in other sports.
Well, that too, yeah.
That doesn't even get you backup point guard money in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
$12 million a year isn't even like your number 5 pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, these teams have a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, the league's really
football
healthy.
spending is just different because you have 53 guys on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
And so
the percentage of cap isn't that high.
Yeah.
I mean, I know left tackles are a rarity, but you get 2 Freiermuth for the price of Dan Moore. Yeah, I mean, who's more valuable to your football team? I mean, it's just economics, guys. Yeah. I mean, he's not the highest paid tight end in the league.
No.
Probably never will be. He's not going to make 25.
He's barely on the edge of top 10 right now.
Right.
And when some of these younger guys come,
he's going to only fall on that list.
Yeah, he's going to go move down. He'll be like 15th.
Yeah. In a year or two.
Yeah. That's just
the going rate.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. You mentioned TJ Watt. Obviously, a lot of people have been talking about that. Something I found interesting coming out of this draft was something Carl Dunbar said about how they wanted, and it goes to the Jack Sawyer pick.
Okay.
How they wanted to limit the snaps of some of their stars on defense.
Yeah. It definitely seems like a priority.
Earlier in games, so they would have them more fresh later in games when the game is on the line.
Close the teams out.
Yeah.
And yeah. You want to still have your best fastball late, right?
So I think they definitely want to limit Cam Hayward's snaps.
Sure.
They want to get that down. It was 70% last year. Maybe you want to get it down to 55 to 60% of the time. But you can't have the run splits that you had.
That's the thing, is you still want Cam 3rd and 8. I want him out there.
Right.
4th quarter game on the line in Baltimore. I want him out there every snap. But how do you get to 55, 60 if you're doing those things? Well, early in games, or if you have a big lead, or if you're getting blown out, get him out.
And I guess Cam said on his podcast recently that he doesn't like all the running on and off the field. Mm-hmm. Like that's just as taxing on him as it if you're running in and out of there.
Yeah.
We can alleviate that by just saying, hey, Cam, you're not going to be in there until they get over the 50.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
If you're pretty comfortable with the other guys.
This series in the second quarter, you're not going to play,
at all.
The first 8 snaps. If it goes 8 snaps, if they get down inside of 20, then we're going to put you in there.
And I'm not saying Benton and Harmon are his level. They're not. And maybe someday they will be. They're not.
Right.
But if you have both those guys for that series, it shouldn't be as big a drop-off.
Yeah.
Even in pass rush only situations or, any situation, really. You would hope that the drop-off is less.
Yeah.
And I guess the same is true with Watt. He's not a young guy either.
Well, that's the thing. Right. And so, Watt's been basically almost a 90%, certainly over 80, 85% the last few years. If you can save him a little bit in those situations, so that you do have him out there in the 4th quarter when you're trying to close somebody out. And then you don't get the situation that you had in Philadelphia, for example. We're out there for the entire 4th quarter.
Let alone when you're playing 3 games in 11 days or
right.
something. It'd been sure nice to have more D-line depth across the board for that stretch, that's for sure.
It certainly seems like that was a thought here. I know that was a wasted pick on a guy who's going to play special teams for you. Yeah, he's going to play special teams.
Oh, he better. Yeah,
but that's not all he's going to do.
No, right. And again, what really stood out to me with that pick, and originally it was a head-scratcher to me the second it was reported. I was like, okay.
I knew they were interested in the edges. But
the first hour of coverage, I was on with Jerry Dulac, and he said, don't be shocked if they take an edge higher than you think. Not like just a 7th rounder. I'm like, okay, I mean, I was open to that, and
we did that at times. Not in the 3rd round or the 4th round, but I think we did in the 4th round.
Super deep, but I originally, again, was a head scratcher, and then the more I thought through it, I'm like, if Watt or Highsmith misses 1 game, that's a lot to ask of Herbig.
Yeah,
and
it trickles down to your special teams as well.
Right.
Because if Herbig's out there playing a full complement of defensive snaps,
right,
he's not
30 pounds less.
He's not going to be available for you on special teams either.
Right. I wonder how much he'll play special teams going forward too. He's starting to be pretty valuable.
I'd still. You're a backup outside linebacker. You're still going to do that. But the thing is, He's an unrestricted free agent after this season.
I would say, do we know he's going to be back too?
I mean, I would assume somebody's going to throw a bunch of money at him.
Right. I mean, you're not going to franchise him. Maybe you could get a deal done soon and buy him on the cheap, but he's going to be sought after.
And he knows his agent's going to be sitting there going, "Hey, Nick, if you go to the open, like look at some of these everybody's looking for edge rushers." Mm-hmm. You think, well, Atlanta may look at it and go, "Hey, he's better than what we got."
Oh, tons of teams will.
Yeah.
I mean, he can rush the passer.
And
if
he's
valuable skill.
Even and we've seen some of these specialists who only play on third downs. Well, that's not going to happen with Pittsburgh.
No.
But there are some other teams out there that may just bring him in and say, "Hey, we're going to make you our third down pass rush specialist, and we'll give you $14 million a year to do that."
And I'm not saying the Steelers have no intentions of resigning him, but it'd be really tough to give him $14 million a year with the top two guys. Watt's about to break the bank.
You're not going to pay him what you're paying Alex Highsmith.
No, you're not. I mean, unless this year goes drastically different. Herbig ends up with 14 sacks and is an every down player because of injury or something. But again, never, ever, ever forget the comp game.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
I'm sure Omar and company are going, yes, we love the player. That's not the issue. It's just not going to be very feasible to bring him back. But he might yield us a third-round pick because he's going to make money on the open market.
So Hassan Reddick is basically a third-down pass rush specialist. Mm-hmm. He's getting $14 million a year this year from Tampa Bay. He didn't do anything last year.
He's more accomplished, but he's only had like 2 big years.
Yeah.
He's definitely older, and he didn't play football last year.
He didn't play football last year. Bryce Huff,
comparable,
who's 27, is a pass rush specialist. He only basically plays.
Little.
He's little. He only plays on third downs because he just gets to the quarterback.
He hardly played last year too.
He's getting an average of $17 million a year from the Eagles.
Herbig's going to make 19.
Herbig's going to make He's going to make
He's
bank.
going to make 20.
Yeah.
I mean, because inflation and
he's going to get at least 15.
Easily. And the new team's not going to look at him as a special teamer. He's going to be
You're just going to come in here and rush the quarterback.
Right. And play some or on early downs or whatever.
So this is getting you ready for that while also building your depth for this year.
Now in a good outside linebacker draft.
Yeah.
In a good edge draft.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I don't know what next year's looks like.
Right. I better get one now.
Yeah. And I have him in my system for a year. Mm-hmm. He gets another year to learn from Watt and Highsmith. When he steps into that number 3 role next year, we're in good shape.
And maybe they draft a speedball, someone smaller than Sawyer in the 4th round or something like that.
You
do the whole thing again.
You double down. You go get yourself another Sawyer next year. Now you got 4 again.
That's what I'm saying. I think you draft somebody. I mean, but maybe I think
ideally they liked Herbig just because they thought he was one of the top 2 edge rushers in that draft. Mm-hmm. The guy that New York drafted was the other one from Iowa State.
McDonald. I was trying to think what class it was.
McDonald was their number one.
Good, yeah.
He was their number 1 edge guy.
He went in the middle of the 1st round, right?
Herbig was their number 2 for the edge guys in that draft in terms of getting to rushing the passer.
Yeah, they're both a little smallish, similar style. Great get off.
But that doesn't mean that's exactly what you're looking for.
No.
If you can get another guy who's 250, 260 pounds to rush the passer to be your
oh yeah, I mean if you can get Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa, you take it. Right. I mean,
but the thing is,
a
guy like Herbig falls into the 4th round because
there were
he's
questions,
not
right.
he's not the biggest guy.
I remember even some draft analysts thought he might be an off-the-ball linebacker. He might be Zach Bond, which maybe it'd been fine doing that, but
it's pretty good off the edge.
Why would you mix them? Right. Back to your point, though, I think it's a huge advantage that isn't talked about enough. And I always think of like Bama and Georgia that have 5 stars everywhere. If I can go 3 hockey lines deep of D linemen, or even 2,
I'm going to wear that offensive line out.
They play every down.
Yeah.
I mean, and pass rushing takes more out of you than protecting. And certainly when they come off the ball in the run game, you're the nail, not the hammer on defense. But if I can keep rotating those dudes.
It also gives you more to study.
That's the other thing, too.
And it's one of these things,
or you find the weak link better.
TJ Watt talked about, next year at his, end of the season press conference, maybe next year I do need to move around a little bit more. And you might look at that and go, well, what difference? You got Highsmith on the other side. Here's the thing. You're making those offensive linemen, the opposing team's offensive linemen, study different guys.
It's a longer week. It's a more difficult week.
It's a more difficult week for them. If I know, okay, on this, if I go into the week knowing I just got Alex Highsmith, I just got TJ Watt. I'm going to spend the whole week studying those guys.
Yes, 100%.
If I now know that I'm going to see Watt 10 or 15 snaps in this game. I don't know when, but I better be ready for it. And the other guy on the other side is going, I'm going to see Highsmith at some point here. They're not the same. They don't rush the same.
They don't rush the same at all. Their get-off's different. Their pass rush moves are different.
Yeah.
They're like different pitchers.
Now
this guy's got a great curveball. This guy's got a great heater. You know, right?
Now you add your backup guys where you've got, your speedball off the edge with Herbig, and now you got a bigger guy in Sawyer, a power type guy, and you don't know when you're going to get these guys. You got to study all four of them.
You got to study all four of them, right? And like the Chiefs are the best example. Chris Jones, I think he gets to just pick and choose wherever he goes. I mean, Aaron Donald's done that. I mean,
so every offensive lineman, all 5 offensive linemen and the tight ends have to study, okay, if Chris Jones is lined up over top of me, what's his go-to move?
Yep. Like it looks goofy, but Myles Garrett on the second level doing his weird basketball stuff.
That's stupid.
It is stupid, but the center has to prepare for him.
It's a big look at me.
It is
for the offensive line, and I get it. It's a distraction for the offensive line.
But to your point about prep, there's no center preparing for Watt.
No,
I mean, the center has to at least be like, what if Myles Garrett's going to come rushing up the A gap? I got to deal with that. That's not the normal type dude I deal with.
So I think in that regard, I think
it's hurt Watt's production.
Yeah, I do too, and I think it will help him
compared to those studs.
Not necessarily. He is better coming off the left side. I mean, it's been proven time and again. He was much better there than he had been on the right side.
He chose to go there. That's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
Right.
But it just throws a curveball at the other team's offensive line that now they have to study everybody.
Yeah. And again, that Preston Smith trade sticks with me a lot with the Sawyer stuff. And Sawyer never really did reduce inside, but I do think it's something that they've been on their radar. Leal's kind of that guy too, that I think they wouldn't mind a 265-pound guy on 3rd and 12 once in a while rush over a guard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're going to be quicker.
Yeah. And if you're chasing Lamar, he's got a better chance to chase him down than Benton or whoever, It's just another option. And it's such a week-to-week league.
It really is.
How different it is to play the Bengals offense and the Ravens offense.
It's really
different body types for each game.
It's a Belichick thing.
Yeah, right. What more you can do.
The more you can do, and you look
Vrabels and the McGinnis.
Look at the different ways he used Vrabel over the years.
Yeah, 100%. Even like Seymour would line up all over the place. And give me a bunch of different body types.
Honestly, Sawyer has basically the same body type as Vrabel. I know they both played at Ohio State, but they're both long.
Yeah.
They got long arms and all that stuff.
I mean, I know Vrabel. People probably don't remember this, but the Steelers either bulked him up or it couldn't quite figure out what spot to put him in.
He was a second-round draft pick.
Yeah.
They had a plan to use him, and he made some big plays. He won him a playoff game 1 year.
And obviously, he's got a great head for the game. He's a head coach.
But I just think the more you throw at the opposing team's offensive line, I think the better. So,
I was even thinking that with our conversation yesterday about Wyatt Black. Okay, maybe he's not a nose every snap, but doesn't mean he won't do some of both. Like if I could have 3 offensive linemen preparing for him, where most of their time is on Cam Hayward, the Steelers are definitely more static than most teams. Hayward's on one side, Watt's always on one side. Can't hurt to do it.
Yeah, now
even 10% more.
They bumped Watt to the middle and done stuff like that and rushed him from the middle, but by and large, he's been on the left side. You're going to see him move around more this year.
Yeah. Do you think any of this reflects poorly or should make Leal worry? I just don't know what to do with him now.
I don't know where he fits.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they're going to move him back to defensive tackle. They're going to leave him at outside linebacker. I don't know.
Yeah. I always put a small list together in my head, and usually we talk about it too, that going into training camp, not necessarily mini camp, but it's put up or shut up time. Like last year I put Loudermilk on that list, and I would think Leal probably is on that list. And every team's got 10 of them. I mean, this league's rough.
It's unfortunate he got hurt last year because I thought he was having a good camp, and it looked like he was kind of turning the corner, and then he had a neck injury.
Right. Yeah. How long can you stick with that? But I could see him being down to the final cuts, the way that the thing's built right now.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, we were talking about more places or some other things that the Steelers could add. I don't know if it's a glaring need. I think people are underestimating the ability of Brandon Echols a little bit.
I was going to go there. Yeah.
Well, they need to get another cornerback. They've got a bunch of different options now in the slot, including a couple
safeties,
including a couple of safeties who have slot capability, who have played that spot in the past, which lessens the need, perhaps, for Eccles to be the slot.
I don't know what to make of him. I'm excited to kind of see him live.
When we talked to him,
usage.
He was asked, do you prefer to play inside or outside? He said, I feel like I'm an outside cornerback.
Yeah,
and that's largely.
I think most of his snaps have been outside.
Most of his snaps. Now he's played inside in a pinch.
Was it 2 years ago with the Jets? Because they had Reed and they had two
and
really good outside
they had
guys.
Michael Carter inside, who's considered a pretty good slot.
Right,
and he
right.
was the fourth guy. He bumped in there in dime situations. But when they
obviously Sauce was on one side. Reed
but
was
when
a
they
big
had
guy.
injuries, he played outside.
I thought he was kind
he
of
was the third cornerback.
So would you describe it like this with the Jets? There were Sauce and Reed on the outside, Carter on the inside, which was as good as any corner trio in the league, really. I think he was all their backups.
Right.
I think
he's Carter's backup in the slot. He's also the backup, the both outside cornerbacks.
And in dime, he's out there.
And in dime, he's
the
Cam
dime
Sutton.
back.
He's their Cam Sutton.
He's their Cam Sutton.
Yeah.
Right. Which, great. The earlier version. I mean, this last version.
Except he's much faster and much more athletic.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So I think he can back up all. Can he start any? I guess we'll figure that out. I mean, including slot. I do have some concern that if Slay hits a wall or gets hurt, can we trust Trice? You know what I mean? I just don't know.
It might be Eccles.
It might be Eccles. Right. But that's the one position along with O-line that I would still my eyes open for. A corner of any type, sure. I mean, I would be not actively pursuing or calling.
And they've done that. Like, they've gotten guys in recent years who've been cut loose by other teams who were highly regarded people in the draft, and you just bring them in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's see if our system makes things a little bit different for him. He hasn't worked out there. Those guys are always available.
They're always available. Yeah.
It's just that position, more so than any other position in football, is so up and down. It's like a roller coaster.
It is. I mean, it's 100% true. Like, this is a bigger conversation, but like, I thought Jari Alexander would not be a Packer today. They didn't use a corner pick until the 7th round. And we did an NFC North breakdown today on a different show. I'm like, wow, they ignored corner that much. Are they friends all of a sudden? Now, I'm not implying the Steelers should trade for Jari Alexander. But, my wheels turn and I get excited. You get Jalen Ramsey for a 4th or 5th round pick. Now, he's a big contract.
It's going to cost you. But
he can do everything in your secondary, too. And instead of just being, I think we're good there, you could be incredible there. Now, I know
that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
They're not going to sign Darius Slay and then cut him.
Oh, I don't think they're going to cut him. I think Ramsey would be your slot. He would be all the above. I mean, he's done he's played dime linebacker.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I don't want to get people excited, but you could make moves like that if you wanted to.
We have to be careful with what we say on podcasts because a lot of times this stuff gets picked up. And Matt Williamson says Steelers going to trade.
Yeah. I'm not saying gonna. I'm just saying he's cheap. And all these veterans.
He's cheap in what you would have to pay for him in draft capital.
Right.
He's not cheap in what you'd have to pay him. It'd be $20+ million.
It's guaranteed too.
It's fully guaranteed.
That's
why Miami wants to get out of it.
It's all about. It's like Cousins. It's like how much are you picking up? How much am I picking up? Blah 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 blah. And I hesitate to even bring it up because I don't want to get people excited. But it did shock me that no veterans got traded over the weekend. Goddard and Hendrickson and all these guys that were on the block. Nobody went. And can you get them cheaper now than you could have a week ago? I don't know. It's just.
I think it depends
on. Look under every stone.
I think it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a team that got completely. We saw over the years, for example.
I don't think Hendrickson's moving.
There were about 5 consecutive years where the Steelers they need to draft some cornerback help. Mm-hmm. But every time they got in the first round, all the corners were gone by the time it got to their pick
because they don't pick.
Because they weren't picking in the top 20.
Right.
They were picking in the bottom 20. And so, it reached a point where all of a sudden now you got to take I think it was the 6th cornerback. You take Artie Burns. You got to have a cornerback. The guys we were taking in the 4th and 5th rounds didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have a better.
But that doesn't mean you take
corner.
the 50th best player at 25.
No, you don't reach like
which
that.
Which maybe that was Burns. I mean, or close to it.
He wasn't quite that.
I mean, that was pretty steep.
He was like 5th, I think.
Doesn't say, but I doubt he was the 25th best player in the draft.
Right.
I mean, it was like, we got to get corners.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what teams are doing with those linemen like crazy right now.
So, you end up stuck in that spot. So there's got to be somebody in this particular draft, who maybe needed cornerback help, and you look at the Packers.
The Packers, right.
Maybe they just swap.
Every
you
time.
take Jair Alexander, we'll take
Ramsey or
we'll
whatever.
take Ramsey, and
they just aren't happy here, and we just need to change
call it
the
a day.
Right. But I did find it odd that just all across the league, no veterans.
That would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, right. I'm going to say, who says no to that? What was the other thing I was saying? This is a bigger conversation, but one of my slight criticisms of the Steelers draft was I would have loved to have seen them draft an offensive lineman. I just did the same. We just broke down the Browns yesterday. I killed them for not taking any offensive linemen. And then we started the series on my other podcast where we're breaking down teams, and everyone either didn't take one I'm critical of or took them around too early. Like
or 2 rounds too early.
2 rounds too early. The tax on O-linemen this year was double than what it's used to be.
It was like quarterbacks.
It was like quarterbacks. I mean, worse. I mean, I wish you could have got a Will Howard in the 6th round that plays guard. I mean, you can't.
They just weren't available.
I mean, like we did I mentioned the Packers. We both like Belton. They had to take him in the 2nd round.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
those guys went quick.
On O-line was crazy.
Those guys went quick, and I think that's why, like, for example, the Ravens, who had 11 picks, ended up taking 3 of them.
Right. A lot of teams just took a bunch of late ones and hope any of them stick. I mean, it was a bad O-line draft. The need is greater than ever. Dan Moore makes $20 million. I mean, it's just supply and demand. That doesn't excuse the Browns because they had the picks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking linebackers and running backs and stuff, but then they need starters on the O-line. But the cost of acquiring O-linemen in this draft was bonkers.
It was insane. As opposed to last year when they were available throughout.
Yeah. A lot of people were critical of the Vikings, who didn't have many picks. They didn't trade back. They took the guard Jackson from Ohio State in the 1st round. Well, they weren't going to get a guard anywhere else. Like maybe he's not the 25th best player in the draft, or
but they didn't have a 2nd round pick.
They didn't have a 2nd or 3rd when the draft started.
If they had not drafted him,
they're taking a 6th rounder in the 4th round.
Yeah,
I mean that's what this draft was.
Yeah, it just worked out that way, and that happens. And you can't control what other teams do.
No,
you can only control what you do. And I think that's where you get yourself into trouble. Though, is when you start reaching for those guys.
Like I didn't think Banks.
When you have to have it. The Steelers had to have defensive back help.
Yeah.
In the late 2010s.
Yeah. I
mean, and so they take Artie Burns. They take Sean Davis in the 2nd round. They take Terrell Edmonds at the end of the 1st round. It's like
it's not a position you want to be in.
You don't want to have to take those guys.
No, right? Because the chances of them hitting to their fullest degree are less because they're not the best prospect you could take at that time. But teams are doing with O-line like crazy right now.
Yeah, it's
you don't want to be in that spot. Yeah,
not pretty. So you want to try to set. It takes us back to the Jack Sawyer conversation. You don't want to have to be penciled in. Okay, 2nd round, we got to get an outside linebacker. We got to get an edge.
You don't know what next year's class is.
What if there's nobody available?
Yeah. You don't know what next year's class
I'm not going to take one in the 3rd round or in the 2nd round who's I get a 4th round grade on just because I have a need.
Right.
That's where you run into problems.
But it still might make sense because that guy's going to play a lot more snaps because you got to put 11 dudes out there and one of them's got to be your guard or whatever.
But when the opportunity presents itself, you take the guy.
You have to do it ahead of time, ideally.
Yeah, I think you got to know what your roster is and where you need to what you can fill, and then take care of as much of it as you can ahead of time.
Yeah,
and then you're not concerned. Then you're the 49ers, for example, lost much like the Steelers this year. Lost a bunch of guys in free agency.
Kind of by design. But
by design because they had people lined up waiting in the wings.
The Eagles are really good at that too.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelsey's replacement, they draft a year early, that kind of thing.
And
it helps when you're good, though.
It's also the beauty of playing the comp pick game.
That's the beauty.
Because you get extra picks.
I get an extra pick.
You got extra ammunition with which to do it.
Yeah. I'm probably going to lose that guy, but I'll get a comp pick for him. But I got a comp pick last year because I let his buddy leave, and I'm drafting his replacement now.
Steelers might take 2 cornerbacks next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's the way it goes. And it really hurts the teams that have a lot of turnover in the front office and coaching staffs, too, because I don't really like half the guys I just inherited. It's not like, well, I've been grooming this guy for 3 years in a row, and now I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
It's definitely a puzzle that you have to put together on a consistent basis and keep building. That's why, beyond what happened on the field, that Deshaun Watson trade set the Browns back years. Because they didn't have day 2 picks at all.
So I'll sign super dated, but in my recruiting days with Pitt, I always had a spreadsheet where we know when guys are graduating. It's not like, oh, he's going to transfer. It's like, boy, we got a tackle here, and then we got 2 years where we really don't have any. We better try to get a JC kid in here this year because you can recruit them down here, but they're not going to be ready to start in the Big East then as an 18-year-old tackle. You knew your depth chart when they were graduating, when they were leaving. And, there's a Larry here and there that you lose, but you're happy at Larry. This type of things. But
so different now.
So different. I can't even imagine how you prepare for years ahead.
Yeah.
You steal someone off a lesser team, I guess. You take Duquesne's best player or whatever,
Crazy. But anyways, that's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is Matt Williamson, and this is hour number 2 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, our friend Dane Brugler has come out with his mock draft for 2026.
That poor guy, by the way. He puts out The Beast, which we've talked about to no end, is an unbelievable publication that he works on all year. And frankly, I know he has notes for next year already. And then he works the draft and is on every radio thing in the country. And I remember him even saying, like, when he goes to the combine, his goal was to tell nobody no. Anyone that asked him to come on, he says, yes, I'm going to do all of it.
Which explains why he's on with us.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So he even hangs out with us. Then he does all the draft coverage. And then yesterday, he does all of his grades. He ranks them 1 to 32. And then today, he does a way too early mock draft. Like, give the guy a break.
Well, I don't like to call them the way too early mock draft because everybody does that. This is my way too early mock draft. That's clever. No,
I think McShay started that.
It's just an early mock draft.
Yeah.
It's never way too early.
What's way too early? 2029 is not too early.
Right.
Right.
So let's.
I've seen a couple of them pop up, and I don't know any of the names yet. I haven't looked at them.
Yeah, let's just roll through. I don't know really the names either, but
this is usually the first time I hear most of these names.
Yeah. So he has Arch Manning going number 1 to the Saints, but he notes that at this point, scouts believe there's a good chance Manning returns to school for his 4th year in 2026.
What's he make a year at Texas? I bet it's pretty good, and I'm pretty sure his family's got a little bit of money tucked away.
Right.
So
just stay in college, finish your degree.
If you're going to be first overall, maybe, but we're not.
Probably
pretty good life.
Probably going to be first overall next year,
too.
Yeah,
take ballroom dancing, make $5 million, maybe win national title. Probably a cute girl or two at Texas.
Eat pizza,
but
hang out with
your
buds.
Yeah, it's not a bad life.
At 2, he has
a side note. This is the thing that makes me crazy is if you look at the comments, like on ESPN.com or whatever, every Saints fan will be like, "How dare you think we picked first overall?" They just pick it out of the. It's not like it's personal.
No, right. At 2, he has the Jets picking and taking Lenoris Sellers, quarterback from South Carolina.
Kid. Yeah.
How could they do that to Justin Fields?
Right. He's the long-term answer. He's going to solve all the problems. I hope he does. But
I hope so, too.
There's a better chance there in the quarterback market than not.
Yeah.
Especially if they pick 2. Well, enough said. Right.
At 3, he has the Giants taking. So you Jets,
think they're
Jets
not
and
taking
Giants 2 and 3.
So it's kind of interesting, though.
Will somebody in New York please put together a good football team?
I know. The world would be a better place. But it's also a good way of looking at who might the Steelers be competing for first-round quarterback?
This is why I'm going through this.
Yeah. Like, I don't think the Giants will be one of them.
The Giants taking offensive tackle Spencer Fano from Utah.
Okay, first I've ever heard that name. I know that Bama's got a stud tackle.
They didn't pick up the fifth-year option on Evan Neal.
Oh, they
so
won't.
Yeah. At 4, the Titans. Well, they won't be in the quarterback market. They take edge rusher T.J. Parker. From Clemson.
Okay. Again, I don't know any of these names.
At 5, the Browns.
I would think they're in the quarterback market. Maybe they don't.
Take Drew Aller, quarterback from Penn State.
There's really mixed reviews around here about him. Seems like most people that watch Penn State all the time do not see him in that light.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Big, strong, fast, but not precise by any stretch from what I
Makes
gathered.
big mistakes in big moments.
That's what I hear, yeah.
But
I'm
again,
keeping track. That's 3 teams so far.
If they're picking 5th, and they traded they traded that back this year to get a second first-round draft
right,
pick.
Dave Jacksonville.
Presumably in case they have to move up. But if it's the Saints and Jets up top, they're not moving back.
That's a thing. Right,
they're going to take a quarterback.
It's like you could try to get Ward off the Titans, but they're not letting you.
Right.
Right.
So maybe you can move up to 3, but that doesn't do you any good.
Right.
Unless you're trying to stop somebody from jumping ahead of you.
I mean, if the Patriots and Titans have the first 2 picks, well,
then
maybe
it's different.
you can get the 3.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
At 6, the Carolina Panthers take Keldrick Falk, defensive tackle from Auburn.
I'm going to put them in the not quarterback needy team, even if they pick top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a conversation if
they gave up too much.
Right.
I mean, there were still picks in this year's draft that finished off that trade.
It wasn't. And McMillan's there to make his life easier,
Yeah.
whether you think that's the right pick or not.
At 7, the Raiders take Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State.
People talk about him like he's a total stud, best player on that defense. If they're picking top 10, they're probably in the quarterback market because things didn't go well. They're a halfie for me. I don't know.
I don't think they will be because I think they're in it to win it now.
They extended him.
Pete Carroll's not getting any younger.
Right. They would have to. I mean, it would have to be a top 5 type of pick.
Yeah.
And the quarterback's too good. You know, like
I don't think they're going to be picking 7.
I think they'll be better than that too.
Yeah.
I mean, Crosby and Wilkins and Geno and they got some dudes.
Carroll's a good coach. They'll win a couple of games that they probably shouldn't.
I mean, we say that all the time.
They'll get the
Steelers coach is that guy.
They'll get the 7 or 8 wins, and
it's hard for those coaches to be 4-13.
It really is. They're just not going to make the mistakes that lose games.
Right. Sean Payton doesn't do that. Pete Carroll doesn't do that. Right.
At 8, the Colts take Caden Proctor, offensive tackle from Alabama.
I'm going to put them in the potential quarterback needy.
Potentially,
team,
yeah.
If they're picking 8-ish, things didn't go well.
They could, yeah.
They could go back and forth between those guys.
At 9, the Browns with their pick from Jacksonville.
Okay, I'm not going to count them twice.
Take offensive tackle Austin Barber from Florida.
Should have taken him this year.
He wasn't available.
Yeah.
But, again, you look at that. That's a bunch of offensive linemen in the first.
No, maybe they think this is a good O-line class.
That's 3 in the top 9 picks, offensive tackles.
Okay. I mean, we always say this. I mean, you never know, but I would think next year's class has got to be better than this year's O-line.
And offensive tackle is a little more safe than quarterback. Like those guys aren't
definitely knowing who's coming out.
You know the body kid. The body types. That's not changing as long as they don't get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, the kid at Georgia that was a 5-star that now is finally up.
Yeah,
you see him coming a mile away.
Literally.
Yeah. Right.
At 10, the Patriots take Mateo Ugalagahe, or edge rusher out of Oregon. I can't remember.
Okay.
Uagalai.
Okay. They're not going to be
Uagalai. I don't know.
We'll learn it.
Edge rusher from Oregon. I got a whole year to learn that one. Mm-hmm. At 11, the Rams take, this is the pick they got from Atlanta, Jermond McCoy, cornerback from Tennessee.
I'm going to lump them in the yeses, though, especially with 2 first-round picks. It might be time to use a first-round pick on a quarterback at Stafford's.
I've heard some stuff about McCoy, though. He's pretty good.
What position was he?
Cornerback.
Okay.
I think he's the first cornerback off the board here.
Okay, he's the hot name.
Yeah.
What school again?
Tennessee. At 12, the Seahawks take Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker from Texas.
Okay. I have seen him. He's really impressive. I don't know if they'd be in the market or not. You got Milrose sitting there, but he might not do a thing this year. Who knows?
I don't think they will be. I think you'll let that play out.
I would think.
I mean, that coaching staff was there when Lamar got drafted.
Mm-hmm.
They can wait.
Yeah, and Darnold can be a 1-year deal, or you could run it back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lump them in the quarterback needy teams.
The Dolphins at 13 take Carnell Tate, wide receiver from Ohio State.
I heard there's another. Everyone knows about Smith, but no one's paying attention to the other clear first-round pick, the wide receiver for Ohio State.
At 14, the Cowboys take Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame.
I've heard really good things about him.
He's very good, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
15, the Cardinals take C.J. Allen, linebacker from Georgia.
I believe you.
At 16, the Steelers take Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback LSU.
Okay. He's definitely one of the names.
Yeah,
right.
And they could, if they're picking 16 or in that range, they can bump up to go get a quarterback.
I mean, if that's the case, I would have no hesitation trading 2027 first to get to 5. If there's a guy you love.
Yeah. You're not going to trade to 5 in this instance with Cleveland, but
whatever. You mean high.
At 17, the Bears take Reuben Bain Jr., edge rusher out of Miami.
Okay.
18, the Broncos. The Bears aren't going to be in the quarterback market. The Broncos aren't in the quarterback market.
Most of these teams that recently haven't been.
The Broncos take Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon.
Okay. They just had a tight end draft.
Yeah. 19, the Buccaneers take L.T. Overton, defensive tackle from Alabama. They're not in the market for a quarterback.
No. I got 5 so far.
At 20, Houston, not in the market for a quarterback, takes Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson.
Okay.
At 21, Minnesota, not in the market for a quarterback.
That would have to be a disaster year for McCarthy.
Take Jalen Kilgore, cornerback from South Carolina.
Okay. South Carolina's pumping out kids.
22, the Chargers, not in the market for a quarterback. Take Tyreek Sapp, edge rusher out of Florida.
Wonder if he's related to Warren.
I don't think so.
I have no clue. You would think he'd go to the U, but
you would think, yeah.
Stay in state.
At 23, San Francisco, not in the market for a quarterback.
Not. I mean, Purdy would have to not get signed.
They take Cage Casey, offensive tackle from Boise State. Another offensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
At 24, Green Bay, not in the market for a quarterback, takes Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. That's 3 Clemson guys in there.
Yeah, Clemson might be all right this year.
He's the younger brother of A.J. Terrell.
I was wondering that too, actually, yeah.
At 25, the Commanders take Whit Weeks, linebacker LSU.
Great name.
They're not taking a
They're
quarterback.
not taking a quarterback. No chance.
At 26, the Bengals. They're not taking a quarterback.
Unless Burrow demands a trade because he hates it there.
Take Francis Muagoa, I should say, offensive tackle from Miami.
Okay. A lot of tackles, right?
A lot of tackles.
Yeah.
At 27, the Rams take Fernando Mendoza, quarterback Indiana.
Oh, that's what they do.
Transfer from Cal.
Okay.
You got another transfer quarterback coming into
Word
Indiana.
goes out, and I guess Indiana's a desirable spot.
Detroit.
I've never heard his name before.
Not in the market. Well, Detroit could be in the market for a quarterback, but I don't see it.
They're also going to pick late.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're going to go in top 10 go to quarterback.
They take Anto Saka, edge rusher out of Northwestern.
Okay. A little shocked they didn't do more on the edge this year.
Kansas City at 29. They're not taking a quarterback. Take Keanu Tenavasa, defensive tackle from BYU.
Okay.
At 30, the Bills take they're not taking a quarterback. No. Kamari Ramsey, safety out of USC.
Okay. And the Eagles.
31, the Ravens. Oh. They're not taking a quarterback. Take Evan Stewart, wide receiver from Oregon.
Okay. I've heard his name because they always said he was better than the
5-star recruit and all that stuff. Yeah. And 32, the Eagles take Jude Bowery, offensive tackle from Boston College. That's like 7 offensive tackles next year.
BC had second-round tackle this year and maybe a first one. Yeah, right.
Trujillo played right tackle, and this is the left tackle.
Okay. Interesting. I think he came up with 5 teams other than the Steelers.
Yeah. You can go through it again. The Saints, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was one.
The Jets.
Yes. But that's not 100%. But
right.
It's, if they're terrible, yes.
The Browns.
Yes. But maybe Sanders is good, or, I mean, probably.
The Raiders are a maybe. The Colts are a maybe.
I put the Colts as one of the 5.
Okay.
I didn't put the Raiders as one of the 5.
Now, the Browns have 2 picks.
Right. But the Jags won't be in it.
Right.
And Atlanta won't be in it. They
Right.
don't have their pick either.
New England's a no.
No.
The Rams are a yes.
I put the Rams as my 5th one, I think.
Yeah. Seattle.
Especially with 2 first-round picks.
I think Seattle's a no.
Seattle's like the Raiders. They would have to go
It would
really
have to
bad.
go really bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Miami's a no.
Right.
Dallas a no. Arizona, no.
Highly unlikely,
Yeah.
but one of those weird ones could happen. I get sick of you, but then he goes to one of the teams. He goes to the Saints.
He goes to one of the teams that needs a quarterback.
Still the same
Yeah.
number of teams. You know, he's
Yeah.
going to be a starter somewhere. Dak's going to be a starter somewhere. You know.
So, I think you're looking at that. Again, going to the team building that we just talked about, looking down the road, you know who's going to need a quarterback and who doesn't. And maybe there's somebody else emerges on this list that you didn't expect.
Baker gets hurt or something weird happens.
Blows his
Somebody
knee out and he's
retires
going to
or- right. You know, but no one's going to count on Rodgers or Cousins to be starters next year.
Right.
Probably. I mean,
let's say
Rodgers wins the MVP.
Let's
Maybe
say
he'd be back, but-
Fields has a good year for the Jets this year.
Right. They win 8 games.
Now maybe they're out of it.
Yeah. So, okay, we came up with 5 teams that are likely. I'm like, the Colts were one of them. Maybe one of those 2, their career goes
maybe
well.
Shedeur Sanders is a hit this year.
As I say,
in
they got 4
Cleveland.
guys. If it's anyone but Flacco, they could be out of it.
Right.
You know, they just need one of the 3 to look quite good. How many quarterbacks did he have going in the first round? Now, this is
1, 2, 3, 5.
And we had 5 teams besides the Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, so that's about right. I mean, I was curious, yeah.
And that doesn't mean somebody doesn't fall off of that
Of
list.
course.
Somebody else jumps onto it, though.
Those 5 will not be the 5
Yeah.
quarterbacks taken in the first round next year.
I mean, Nico Iman leaving didn't make the
Didn't
list.
make a list, yeah.
Other people you see, other way too early mock drafts, you see him in the first round somewhere. So it's.
I mean, in this transfer world, I have no idea who Ohio State's next quarterback is, but I bet he's good.
Let's put. I mean, you just saw the Rams are taking the guy late who's at Indiana. This is his first year there.
Right.
He played at Cal before. Cal was.
I'm
okay.
assuming Ohio State, Michigan are going to have somebody that they steal from a smaller school.
You didn't see Carson Beck's name in there.
No. And from what I've seen, I would be shocked if he's a first.
Oh, I'm shocked that Drew Aller's still in there, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Maybe he turns it on this year. They got a bunch of guys back. Lost his top receiving weapon.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know there's ability there with him.
there's ability.
Yeah.
But sometimes ability is not necessarily everything.
Yeah. And there's been so many quarterbacks that we had no clue who they were at this time.
Oh yeah,
Burrow's the best example.
Ward this year.
Right.
Ward wasn't considered the top overall pick
Wentz and,
last year when you were looking at these things. So it happens.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. That was Dane Brugler's way too early or just early.
Or just early.
Just early. Look at the 2026 NFL Draft, give you an idea of what's ahead here. Those names will change on there.
Oh, yeah. But it's fun to at least know the names and won't be that long
again,
before we
as
watch
we
college
just
football.
did, start going through and looking, okay, who needs a quarterback at this point coming out of the most recent draft?
Yeah.
Like, would Cleveland actually take a third quarterback in 2 years?
That's what's so goofy about their draft.
Yeah.
I mean, if they would only taken one quarterback when you have two, you already had the 2 first-round picks when you made those decisions.
Yeah.
The Gabriel pick makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
No.
So
that's what they do.
that's what they do. We'll be back with more here on The Drive right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, I mentioned this yesterday, but Eric Edholm on NFL.com has come out with his post-draft power ranking.
Oh, boy. Okay, let's do it.
I can't imagine things changed greatly here based on the draft.
No. I mean, who got a new starting quarterback or something you didn't kind of foresee?
It probably has. Like, he did this, I think, 2 weeks into free agency was the last time he had updated his power rankings.
Which makes sense. I mean, teams added some decent players.
It's been over a month
Yeah.
in between there. So there have been some other additions and subtractions and things of that nature. At 32, he still has the Tennessee Titans.
Are they the worst team in the league? I mean, Ward's going to have his up and downs, but they have Lockett now, and I think the offense might be 22nd. I mean, the line's not horrendous. I don't know if that'd be my last pick.
They're bad. I don't know if they'd be my last pick, but I don't know if they'd be.
How many opening day rookie starters are we going to have other than Ward?
None.
I'd say maybe Shuck.
I don't even know if that.
I mean, that's,
like you can throw him to the.
I don't think it's Sanders. It's definitely not Dart.
Not Milrow.
No.
Yeah. At 31, down 3 spots. This is one that has changed because his last time he came out with his power rankings, you didn't know Derek Carr's situation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least he would keep them respectable as opposed to Shuck.
So at 31 are the Saints.
They're pretty terrible.
Like that would almost be putting Shuck out there this year. Really, either one of those guys.
I said neither one.
Like, do you want to ruin Shuck? And I understand he's a 25-year, soon-to-be 26-year-old quarterback,
right.
And we just did a mock draft where they're picking first overall.
The March for Arch.
But
I mean, at least they drafted a tackle 2 years in a row. I mean, I don't know. I mean, someone's going to play quarterback.
Somebody's got to play quarterback.
I'm not 100% sold that Carr is as hurt as he thinks, as everyone says he is.
Maybe he looked at that and said, I don't want to play behind those guys anymore either.
I think you could get him after June 1st.
I don't know if you want him, but
I'm not even saying for the Steelers. I just think if somebody was interested,
At 30, up a spot, are the Giants.
I would put them definitely better than those two teams. I mean, like, their defenses, they have a D-line. Their skill guys are okay. Russell Wilson's an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
They
had him, Bow and Scatabo and Darius Alexander and Abdul Carter and
Vinny Cutlets or whatever his name out there at quarterback.
Yeah. At 29, I think they're better than this. Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah. I think they could win 7 or 8 games this year.
Yeah. I mean, people were picking them last year to win the division.
Yeah.
To be the team that sneaks up on Houston.
Right. Like, I don't know if Hunter will be offense and defensive rookie of the year, but he's a nice pickup.
Yeah. They need Trevor Lawrence to pull his head out of his behind.
Right. But I like their coach. At
28, up a spot are the Browns. Browns are worse than the Jags. That would actually be ideal. If the Jaguars finish 29 and the Browns 28th, they would love that. It's not going to happen.
Browns might be 32 for me.
They might be.
I mean, I think their line's terrible. Their quarterbacks.
I think the Saints are probably my 32.
I would say who has a worse quarterback situation than the Browns? The Saints if Carr's hurt.
Yeah.
That might be the only answer to the test.
Yeah.
Assuming Rodgers is a Steeler,
At 27 are the Jets, holding steady.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough rebuild for them. I mean, I like their draft. I like their first steps, but they got a lot of holes.
At 26, holding steady, are the Raiders.
I bet they manufacture more than that.
Yeah.
Genty, Geno Smith. That offense won't be bad.
It's not going to be bad, and the defense was...
It'll be middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, they got a coach.
At 25, holding steady, are the Patriots.
I think I'd still be lower. That roster had nothing last year, and just one offseason is not enough for them.
They still don't have any receivers.
Right. It's going to be Diggs and who'd they draft?
Kyle Williams.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's still below average. Tight end's not great, right.
You added Travion Henderson.
That's fine, but the line still needs a lot of work.
At 24, holding steady, are the Carolina Panthers.
I might have them even a little lower, too. I think the offense is respectable. Defense was so hideous last year, I don't think it just turns around.
Yeah. 23 are the Colts.
I think that's fair.
I don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah.
And either one of them is not really.
I don't think either one's going to take them to new levels.
No.
But whoever the better of the two is, I think keeps them out of the dungeon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
whoever
a bad
they settle
division.
on.
Maybe you're going to split with the Jaguars. Maybe you sweep the Titans.
I mean, the rest of the roster's decent. They'll run the ball a lot,
At 22, down 2 spots, the Dolphins.
I think they're going the wrong direction.
They're definitely going the wrong direction.
They really got 2 players.
Remember last year at this time, they were in the top 10.
I know.
And I thought
there was
that
a case that they could be a playoff team a year ago.
The Jets were up there too. Both of those teams.
Right.
Look at all the shiny new toys these two teams got.
I mean, all their old guys in New York.
At 21.
I bet Miami finishes worse than that when it's all said and done.
I'll bet they might finish last.
I mean, Ramsey's not back. I mean, do you know Tyreek's going to be there for the whole year? And
21 holding steady is Atlanta.
Okay.
I
don't know if Penix is good or not.
They better be better than that or everybody's getting fired.
Yeah. I think they're a really poorly run organization, but their GM kind of has Teflon. I mean,
Well, I think he was told he had to make the move up to go get James Pierce.
Right, which I think is a terrible move.
Because I think he's not
hot.
Teflon anymore.
Right. Should be hot.
At 20, up 2 spots is Dallas. Dallas do anything to move up?
I like their O-line. It's all young Tylers. Drafted 3 Tylers in the first round by the 4 years. Defense is okay.
Who's their second receiver?
I know. And say, where are the weapons coming from? Who's the running back? Someone they draft like the 4th or 5th round?
Yeah.
I mean, the skill's bad.
At 19, down 2 spots, are Seattle.
It's a lot of change. I mean, I'm sure there'll be growing pains with the offense. I guess that's fair. I think the defense is pretty decent.
At 18, up a spot, Arizona.
I was just sitting here thinking, who's worse in that division, Arizona or Seattle? I guess I'd have Arizona ahead of them.
It's close.
Yeah.
At 17, down 2 spots, are the Steelers.
That's rough, but if he were to do this the day after Rodgers signs, does he say anything like, well, they don't have a quarterback, so I can't
He
put
just
him
says
higher?
the union with Aaron Rodgers could be the bread's gradually like the bread comes. Signs that a union with Aaron Rodgers could be imminent. Trickled out as the draft progressed on. You think?
Yeah.
Relieving some pressure while Shedeur Sanders kept
I don't know why you
sliding.
have to bring Shedeur Sanders' name even in the conversation, but right.
I
mean, as currently constructed, I understand it. It's a little low.
It's a little low.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you add Aaron Rodgers to that equation.
I mean, I'm moving him up 5 spots or so.
Yeah. And I understand, so something you said there, the Jets and their old guys and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was one of the old guys.
Oh, Tyron Smith.
They had like 12 of them.
Morgan Moses, and it was every
that they had brought in as mercenaries from outside.
Yeah.
To just come in, let's see what we can do here.
We said this time last year or training camp, they're the most fragile team in the league.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
At 16, holding steady are the Bears.
It's a little kind to the Bears.
The Steelers are better than the Bears.
They haven't won a whole lot lately.
I'm not sold on the quarterback. He's
right.
He's still mistake prone, takes a bunch of sacks. And,
yeah. I mean, their O-line looks like it's in good shape. They drafted a ton of skill. I mean, 2 receivers right off the bat, which I thought was kind of a luxury pick, but it will help them. They'd be right in the middle. I don't think they're far off that number, though.
At 15, up 3 spots, are the 49ers.
I'd be a little concerned. I'm glad that they really hit their D-line hard, but they're a fragile build, too. And Purdy's about to be expensive. And do we know he's good? I think he's fine, but do we know he's good?
He's good when he has all the weapons around him. Do we know if McCaffrey's going to play?
What's McCaffrey up to? I think Ayuk's going to miss time, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Torn ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
They'd
know
be
about
lower.
that. Yeah.
They lost a lot, too. I didn't like their draft either all that much. A couple of D linemen I liked. But
yeah. At 14, holding steady, the Houston Texans.
I think I'd push them up.
I still don't know what's going on with their offensive line. I still think it's going to be questionable.
It was so bad. My thoughts on that were it was so bad last year that probably it's better, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
I would certainly 100% take the Steelers' offensive line over Houston's.
Yes.
Houston
Yes.
Houston would trade you that and give you more.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think left to right. I mean, where are they strong?
Yeah. At 13, holding steady, are the Chargers.
They're fine. I didn't love their draft either. I still think they have a lot of holes. I haven't loved their team building other than Alt since he showed up. I thought Hampton was a really good player, but not the direction I would have gone considering their edge rushers and D tackles and receivers, you know?
Yeah. At 12, down a spot, is Cincinnati.
I don't think I can be that kind to them.
I don't understand putting
What's
Cincinnati that high. How do you put Cincinnati ahead of the teams that made the playoffs last year when they didn't make it?
I would say the exact same thing. Like, they didn't make the playoffs, and they're running it back almost verbatim. You know, they're going to stink on defense, and they're going to be great on offense. And
what makes anybody think that they've learned their lesson yet, and they're not going to get off to another slow start?
Oh, by the way, we talked about the divisional drafts yesterday. I think I was too kind to Cincinnati. I really dislike their draft a lot. Them and the Browns are like two of my least favorite drafts. I like the Ravens.
I mean, you said the Ohio teams didn't do well.
I agree. I think that's really bad. They can develop Shamar Stewart there? I don't think. Two guards, two linebackers.
Is Shamar Stewart going to help them at all this year?
Not
is he
an impact guy,
Is he going to be better than Miles Murphy? Because right now, Miles Murphy has to start for them.
Right. They need one of those two
not
to
been good.
Good, you know, right.
Yeah.
Even with Hendrickson back. I think it's going to be one of the worst defenses in the league.
I mean, offensively, okay. You got a great offense. It's fantastic.
Right.
You got to stop somebody at some point.
We saw this play out last year.
Yeah.
Right.
You lost.
They would be much lower for me.
They lost to basically all the good teams that they played, except they beat the Steelers at the end. They still finished with 9 wins.
I mean, a preseason cheat code is just put the good quarterbacks high. I get that.
Yeah.
Hey, I've done it. You know, but the stuff around them isn't great.
It's not great.
Right. I don't like their draft. Yeah.
And I'm not sold that Zach Taylor's a good coach.
Oh, I never have been. Right.
He fell into a great situation where
right. I don't think he makes a big difference.
No.
You know, I don't think he moves the needle enough.
I don't think their entire coaching staff moves the needle.
I'm not super impressed with their scouting staff or ownership either, but they got a really good quarterback.
Yeah. Like you're telling me, I don't know.
I think that's too high, yeah.
At 11, up a spot, Denver.
I'm impressed with Denver. I think he's a real coach. They don't have a lot of holes. I thought their draft was a little weird, but
yeah, Jahdae Barron, I get.
Yeah,
Savion Jones.
I thought everyone was taking
R.J. Harvey. I like R.J. Harvey.
I do too.
But
Caleb Johnson was on the board.
Caleb Johnson was there.
I thought they took everyone around too early except for Barron.
Yeah, Pat Bryant. I was just kind of
He's big and slow. But his film's better than his workout. But there were better receivers on the board.
Yeah,
I think they're a solid team though with a good defense.
At 10, down 3 spots, the Vikings.
It's all about the quarterback.
It's all about the quarterback.
Yeah.
I can't have them at 10.
Right.
I just can't.
I don't know if their defense got much better either.
Like if you were going to put them, you just mentioned, well, you do these preseason rankings here based on the quarterback.
I say you could cheat and say, well, Burrow's going to be further.
They might be 32nd.
Yeah, they might be. In terms of confidence in their current quarterback room, they have to be near the bottom.
Who did they sign backup? Or they traded for Sam Howell.
For Howell, yeah, but he's not going to be the answer, right?
Sam Howell and J.J. McCarthy,
right? They have a lot.
McCarthy better work out.
I really like now the 10 starters around McCarthy.
Sure,
you know they brought in 3 offensive.
It's going to be much easier
totally
for
new
him.
Offensive line and Jefferson and Hawkinson. But they didn't help Flores at all.
I wasn't a big McCarthy believer to begin with.
I wasn't either. I have my doubts.
There's a reason why Michigan ran the ball as much as they did.
I like the head coach. I think he'll get the most out of McCarthy, but I don't know what that ceiling is. Yeah, I think they'd have to be lower.
I would have them closer to 15 than I do 10.
Right. Like I'd feel a lot better.
I think the roster around it's pretty
quite good. Yeah. If they had Kirk Cousins in the building or something, I'd feel a lot better about it.
And maybe they will.
And I don't think after trade for Howell.
I don't think so.
All right.
At 9 down a spot, Green Bay.
They're fine. Not a lot of change.
Yeah. At 8, up 2 spots, are the Rams.
I believe in that team, yeah. I'm in. I think McVay's as good a coach there is in the league.
Here's the thing, though. I don't know how you bump them up after the draft.
The
when
Vikings
they didn't have a first-round pick.
But they didn't do anything in the draft. The Vikings and them got very little in the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, a second-round tight end, I don't think.
What have the Rams done?
Unless you're just bumping people down.
Unless you move the other teams down because what they didn't do, I don't know.
But they didn't get better in the last month.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. I mean, they talked Stafford into coming back.
Yeah.
That was different from where we were at.
I was trying to think of the timeline of when he did this last. You know, was Stafford an unknown? Did they have Devontae Adams? Maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. At 7, up 2 spots, is Tampa Bay.
It's a solid organization. I like the way they draft. I think they've established themselves as a contender basically every year. Yeah. Playoff contender.
Yeah. Especially in the NFC.
in that division too.
Yeah, at 6, holding steady is Washington.
I'm not 100% there yet.
I think I might have Tampa Bay ahead of Washington.
That team screams plexiglass principle to me. Too much too soon, and then you go get a bunch of old guys thinking that you're over the top, and Debo and Tunsil, and now we're a Super Bowl champ. It's not usually how the league works.
I mean, if they
Ertz and Eckler and Wagner.
I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan.
Oh yeah.
But
I don't think they're going to be a Final Four team this year.
All those fourth downs that you went for last year,
you're not going to convert 80% of them.
You're not going to get them again.
Right.
Everybody's now spent the entire offseason studying what you did.
And him. Right. Just
and
like a great pitcher.
Yeah.
Paul Skeens, I'm sure, deals with this too. You know, like you go through the league a second time, it's a little harder, you know?
Yeah. So, at 5 are the Lions.
I got no problem with that. Losing 2 coordinators and a bunch of coaches, though.
I didn't love what they did in the draft.
I didn't either.
We
did an NFC North breakdown. I gave him a C-. I was like, a bunch of guards and nose tackles.
Yeah, they drafted like they're a Super Bowl team, and we're just filling in a couple of pieces here instead of continuing to build on your strengths.
They gave up
which
a lot
they could
for
have done.
Tesla too.
Yeah, they
2 A's. I didn't
stuff
love
like
their draft.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I like the trenches, but it's a little early for Tyleek. 2 guards. Like, are they going to help you now? Tesla was like your only flashy thing. They didn't get an edge. I didn't love their draft either. I know this sounds like blasphemous to the NFL world, but I'm not sure Dan Campbell's a great coach either. He has really good coordinators. He's really likable.
He doesn't have really good coordinators anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like he could be exposed as a good, not great coach. I'm not saying he's.
I think he's a great motivator and
absolutely,
all that stuff. But
I just have a problem with all gas, no brakes, all the time. I think it wears his team out.
Yeah,
they're a really good team though. They should be there.
At 4, holding steady are the Bills.
Yeah, they really hit the defense hard.
Which they needed to do.
Yeah. They can do hockey lines on defense now, defensive line.
At 3, down a spot is Kansas City.
I don't know what they did wrong.
Yeah.
The offensive line looks in better shape. I don't know if Simmons will help or not this year, but I think that's a great pick.
I like Simmons. I like Noah Williams. Some of their picks are solid. This is what you do when hey, we're just going to continue bringing in cornerbacks. And I get Detroit did that. They went heavy on the defensive backs and all that stuff. Use more. You can always use more.
You can always use more. They'll be fine.
At 2, moving up a spot, Baltimore.
Okay. I mean, I don't know why you'd move, but I think they're a really good roster. Signing DeAndre Hopkins a couple weeks ago wouldn't change my mind.
That doesn't change my opinion at all. I like the Malachi Starks pick.
Mike Green could pay off on the field.
Let's move Hamilton back up up into the box a little bit more.
Good point. They got a lot of picks, but other than the first 2 picks, I don't know if there'll be a lot of impact.
They're going to have a new kicker.
Which probably will be better than what he was last year.
Like his misses,
he was so bad.
His misses were from 50 plus. He was still pretty automatic inside.
Was he?
Inside of 50.
Okay.
And it's just going to be different.
No, it's going to be different.
I mean, is Harbaugh going to trust him as much? Trust a rookie kicker as much as he trusted Justin Tucker over the years?
But definitely not over the years.
Definitely not.
Right. That's going to be earned. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Eagles are 1.
And the Eagles are 1.
They kept Bond and Campbell. I mean, their linebackers are strong. Secondary looks as good as it was. I guess the D-line's a little less.
They got Ty Robinson.
They did get Ty Robinson. That's your dude. Yeah, they'll be good.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, Goddard didn't
move. As long as they stay healthy.
Right.
I
mean, their D-line got hit a little bit in free agency.
I don't know that they automatically are cakewalk to the the championship again.
No. I mean, they would be my 1.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be. But
it's not like the Super Bowl team that got hit super hard, and they did lose a coordinator, but
they lost some depth and they lost some dudes, but we'll see.
They'll be okay. Yeah, they're a good team.
If I had if you had to pick right now, you get the Eagles to repeat for the Super Bowl, or you get the field.
Oh, definitely the field. Times 1,000. Yeah,
I would too.
Yeah. I'm not even sure who my second choice would be, but I would take the field over your top 2 choices.
It wouldn't be Baltimore.
It might be the Bills.
Might be the Bills or Chiefs.
Yeah. I think it would be the Bills.
Yeah. I
still would take the field.
Yeah.
If you could have 2 teams or the field, I'd take the field.
If I give you Eagles, Bills, and Chiefs, would you still take the field?
No. NFC pass pretty nice.
It is pretty nice, but Detroit's still there.
How about this? Would you take, just to make the Super Bowl, would you take the Eagles or the 15 NFC teams? I think I'd take the 15
I'd take the 15 NFC teams.
Yeah.
I could see Tampa beating them. I could see Detroit beating them.
Almost did.
Rams almost did. Rams should have.
Yeah.
If
Lions could definitely
Kevin
beat them.
Dotson doesn't lose his mind at the end of the game.
There'll be some team we're not thinking about that's good, you know.
Yeah.
And there could be injuries. You don't know what their status is.
That's the
in
thing.
December, right?
That's the thing.
I would definitely take the other 15.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. But that was Eric Edholm's, should I say, way too early power rankings?
Yeah, there you go. Way too early.
We're right in the middle of things now. It's just power rankings.
Power rankings. Let's go.
He'll probably
won't do them every
those
week, though.
No, we're not going to do them every week, but he'll probably do them once everybody's done with mini camp.
I bet
sometime
before
in early
training
June.
camp. Yeah.
Heading into training camp at some point. So, anyways, let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive right here on these very airwaves, wherever you're listening now or watching now. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and hear the show on there whenever you want. Or you can watch along on YouTube and listen. And you can give us a thumbs up there. We appreciate that. You can also leave your comments there. I do check those out and answer people's questions on a regular basis. We will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And
happy 50th anniversary to the Holy Grail. Just saw that. I'm here chuckling to myself between segments.
Yeah, your wife just put that out there.
She put it on Facebook, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to clear up, so that that restricted free agent tag that the teams put on these guys, it still applies to the compensatory draft formula for the 2026 draft if they sign with another team before July 22nd. If you sign those guys after July 22nd, you're fine. So you can wait until
I'm saying you could probably have a handshake deal with Dobbins or Moore.
Yeah, we don't need you in. You're running back. We don't
running back, right? Okay. I'm not sure what it in the end what's going to benefit the teams that slapped it on them, but I guess it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, and you kind of guarantee that here's what we're going to pay you. Mm-hmm. Like if they thought they were going to get more than that or less, or
I mean, if Woods just got $2 million or so and they're getting $4-ish, right? I mean, it's not a bad payday for someone that's on the market right now.
You could say that their market is being repressed.
Nicely done.
You're seeing the violence inherent in the system.
Best movie ever. At least the first half, then they ran out of money.
Yeah, well.
But it still holds up after 50 years, by the way.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like Blazing Saddles.
Yes, no doubt.
There's some comedies that just...
Oh, classic.
Classics. Timeless classic comedies. They did a lot of those in the 70s.
I don't want to go down the road too much, but when they come to the castle, and I told him we already got one, I think is the funniest scene in movie history. And he's talking to his buddies behind. I told him we already got one.
Yeah. Fetching the mush.
Oh, God. Right. Is there someone else up there we could talk to?
Actually, my favorite scene is when he's discussing the rabbit in the
the fangs.
At the fangs.
And it totally blows
Look
them
at
off.
the blood.
Right. So
Look
good.
at the bones, I should say.
Look at the bones. I might have to watch that tonight. At least the first half of it. Late tonight. Really late tonight. In honor.
That's one of those ones, I for my kids, of course, you show them. You guys got to sit down and watch this movie. They love it.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
My kids have not bid on it yet. Right.
We've also, sat down and watched Blazing Saddles for the first time when they were, I don't know, like 15, something like that. And they're like, I'm like, they're making fun of racism. They're not.
I was saying there's some things that don't quite hold up that maybe you don't get away with, but you're right. The spirit of it is.
The spirit is they're poking fun at racists. That's
right. That's got to be 50 plus years too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, easily. Wow.
I think that was like
We're
1972,
old.
something like that.
It's crazy that some of our favorite movies are 50 years old. That makes me feel old.
That's because we're old.
And I said Godfather's my number one. That's got to be 50 plus. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Before 75.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I keep wanting to read the book.
I did.
Did
I don't
you
read
read
it.
the
I don't read any books, and that was one of the only ones I read. It's
I
definitely
thought about
worth
that.
it.
It was on the other day.
You're a speed reader too. I mean, you got to read the book.
It was on. I think I stopped and watched the number 2 a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, I've never read I've read the book. I should probably do that.
The book's phenomenal. That's why the movies.
I'm always looking for a new book to read.
I highly recommend it. Like they go into Luca Brasi's backstory, and the only human being that the Don is afraid of is Luca. I mean, like, there's all kinds of stuff. I should read it again.
It's either that or I got to go through and read the Game of Thrones series for like the 4th time because it's been so damn long. He hasn't written the book.
Right.
Like,
that's never happening, right?
At this point, I don't think so.
He's not young, right?
He is not young, and I keep waiting for that news. And like, he won't let anybody else finish it. Mm-hmm. Come on, George.
The series could have finished a little better too.
Yeah,
but run out of time.
Yeah, you run no out, blueprint. Like the whole scene where they go to the north, and the dragon, they pull the dragons comes up out of the
spoiler. Right.
It took like 5 minutes in this show.
The zombie
and then all of a sudden they're back, and it's like,
oh yeah, they were transporting all over Westeros. Yeah.
Did Star Trek come in here and like you guys transport? Like, what happened there?
Even if you're riding dragons, you're not making that.
You're telling me they made the trip all the way from King's Landing to the north.
That was covered in ice, and then it was like
and then
sand
back, and nothing happened the entire way. It was like
there was
nothing of note.
They squashed it all into like 3 episodes. Yeah. But the world's an imperfect place.
Yeah, I want to know more. That's why I read the books. And if I see something that I like on
you should read
a movie or TV or something along that lines, and I know that there's a book involved, I always read the book as well. Yeah. That's how I read the first. Like, I saw the first few episodes of Game of Thrones. I'm like, there's a lot going on here. I better read the book.
Oh yeah. See, I'm lazier than you, but I just watch things 2-3 times. Because I always miss something.
Well, it probably takes you less time to do that, but
it does,
especially those books. It's
right.
A lot,
that's what I hear.
But they were pretty. They followed the book pretty closely,
and they were good, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure they're
outstanding.
Excellent. Yeah.
But I don't know if they're the door in the stone, but
good point.
Shout out to Rob King there, published author,
friend of the show.
Rob, give me a free book. I'll read your book.
Oh, you know what? He did give me a free book.
Nobody pimps his book more than me. And I can't get a free copy of Door in the Stone.
I'll give you mine. No offense, Rob. I didn't read it, but my
mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law.
Well, she finished it.
Oh,
and it's sitting in my living room for some reason. All of a sudden, I'll give it to you.
I read everything.
Yeah, she liked it. By the way.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she would.
I'd even say it if she didn't, but she did. It was terrible. No, it was. She loved it. Yeah.
You said you already got one. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's show. We kind of got off the rails there a little bit, but hey,
the Grail can do that.
50 years, 50-year anniversary of the Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I'm gonna have to push that on my son. He's always looking for comedies, but his rule is it has to be 2000 or later. He's 18.
He's missing. He's missing some great stuff.
Like, they don't know when the world before cell phones, and they don't understand some of that stuff.
I mean, there's even some funny stuff in the life of Brian that, like.
Well, yeah. But like the Grail would hold up. It's not like they're pretending to have cell phones, but
Like there's a scene in the life of Brian where when they're sitting at the Coliseum, and the one guy announces that he wants to be a woman, and he says, "I want to have babies." Yeah. It's so way before something. He says, "You can't have babies. You haven't got a womb."
I haven't seen that one in a while, too. That's so good.
Anyways, for my partner, Matt Williamson.
That whole crew's great. Fish Called Wanda. I mean, all this stuff's
tremendous.
Great. Yeah.
For my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, keeping us on the rails usually.
Once in a while.
And running the soundboard. For Tyler Vittmeyer here, making sure our video gets out there on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on that. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.